It's fair to say that Quantum Break, Remedy's last title, split opinion quite a bit. An interesting concept conceived to fit alongside Microsoft's games and TV vision, it had a distinct art style and a feel to it that I personally really enjoyed. It's somewhat fitting then that Control takes some of those elements and transports them into a game that is as unique and exciting as it is. In Control, you play as Jessie Faden, a woman determined to find out what happened to her brother after a paranormal event 17 years ago in her hometown. The game begins with you entering a skyscraper in New York City called the Oldest House, where the shadowy Federal Bureau of Control is based. Within minutes, Jessie meets a weird and wonderful janitor called RT and is installed as the new director of the Bureau. Oh, and the Bureau is also in the middle of an infestation of a weird entity quickly christened the Hiss. Bear with it, folks, it only gets weirder from there. The rest of the narrative is something I'm not going to spoil in this review, but it's a decent story that barrels along at a decent enough pace over the game's 8 to 10 hour playtime. The Oldest House as a location is a wonderful construct that tells its own stories throughout its many floors of TARDIS-like expansion. Areas open up as you progress through the game, but unlike many of Remedy's previous titles, this one is a bit more open. Think more Rise of the Tomb Raider than Skyrim though. Each floor acts as its own little hub, and you can claim multiple control points throughout the building to enable fast travel between floors, as well as checkpointing and spots to upgrade your weapons and powers. Add in a suitably eclectic cast of characters, and you've got a story that's as compelling as it is bizarre, as Jessie struggles to comprehend the situation and come to terms with her newfound position as the director. Oh yeah, you get powers, and an awesome weapon as well. Let's start with the service weapon. A gun that can only be wielded by the director, the service weapon actually feels alive. There's multiple forms that it can take, including Grip, which is the standard pistol form, Shatter, which is more of a shotgun, Pierce, which is a bit of a sniper rifle, and Charge. Charge fires up to 3 explosives rounds at a time. These are all upgradable with up to 3 mods per weapon that you can pick up throughout the Oldest House. Of course, with the paranormal nature of the Bureau, it wouldn't be right if you couldn't delve into the weird side yourself. And this is where Control really shines, with a collection of powers that genuinely enhance the combat and traversal mechanics. The first power you get is sort of a limited range, force push kind of melee attack, and that's soon joined by the ability to levitate, dash, lift and throw things at enemies, and create a shield from debris that you can pull up from the ground, alongside my personal favourite of Seize, which allows you to take over a weakened enemy and have them fight on your side. When you combine these abilities with a service weapon, you can put together some incredible combos. There's something special about being able to lift up a forklift truck, fling it at a group of enemies and watch as their shields evaporate, then levitate through the air with a swirling shield of debris, taking over the souls of Hiss enemies to then have them turn on their allies and finally switching between weapon modes and firing multiple shots at the remaining few. Control's combat feels unlike anything I've played in a really long time, and it feels incredibly refined. The powers are obtained by interacting with objects of power, or OOPs. These are everyday items that have been possessed by the Hiss, and when Jessie cleanses them, she absorbs the relevant power. OOPs and other altered items are cut from the same cloth, but only OOPs will provide you with a power. There's a dark sense of humour running through the game when it comes to these, with one item in particular needing to be stared at constantly by a human, or bad things will happen, potentially leading to the end of civilization as we know it. It's a fridge. Moving on to how it looks, and there's no other way to describe it. It looks stunning. I was playing the game on a PC with an RTX 2060, which meant I could enable some of the ray tracing functionality that the game offers up. If anyone from Nvidia is watching this, you need to use this game as a showcase for RTX. A phenomenal display of the capability of what ray traced reflections and lighting can deliver, albeit at a reduced frame rate on the baby brother of the RTX family. Without ray tracing enabled, Control runs at a steady 60 frames a second with everything maxed out, whereas with the fancy stuff enabled, it fluctuates between 30 and 60, depending on the area. As someone sensitive to frame rate changes, however, I didn't notice it too much except for really demanding areas, where it still managed to keep ticking at just over 30 frames a second quite nicely. I've been reliably informed as well that it runs comfortably at 30 frames on all consoles, and sticks to that target pretty much like glue for the most part. The only technical issue I had during my time with the game is that occasionally textures would stubbornly refuse to load when my GPU was under a particularly heavy load of stress, but switching out from one setting to another instantly loaded them in, even if it was switching back to the ultra setting. The technical competence is matched by the art style. The Oldest House simply looks wonderful, with Hiss-infected areas glowing bright red and bodies hanging like mannequins in mid-air, providing an incredibly creepy atmosphere. The enormous text that crashes onto the screen as you enter a new area is a really refreshing graphical touch. There are a couple of really nice set pieces as well, with one particular highlight having to navigate through a constantly evolving maze of corridors as some brutally angry Finnish metal pumps through your headphones. It was a sequence that left a grin plastered to my face throughout, and immediately sold a couple of the guys from the site when they saw the game for a YouTube video. The game isn't absolutely perfect though. There was a couple of niggly issues that I encountered aside from the texture issue that I've already mentioned. The first one was the checkpointing, the second one was a lack of obvious objective markers in the environment. The objective markers one is very clearly a stylistic choice, but it's one that was a little bit annoying at times. It's obviously designed to push you down the route of exploration, but when you feel like you've gone over every possible inch of an area only to find a hidden doorway after 20 minutes, it can be a little bit annoying. The checkpoints are always the last control point that you encountered, which is often fine, but if you're in a mission that requires quite a bit of traversal and you die just before the end of it, often you're forced to retrace your steps throughout the entire mission again. Sometimes that's not too bad as enemies won't respawn, but there was one section quite late on in the game that was almost fist-chewingly frustrating due to the whole complement of Hiss being reanimated with every restart. Coupled with a difficulty spike toward the end of the game, it could be more annoying for some, but it didn't distract much from the overall excellence of the game for me. Control has some very clear threads going back to Quantum Break, but it's a game that far surpasses Remedy's predecessor in many ways. A weird, creepy and wonderful exploration of an environment that has been meticulously crafted, it's a must-play. Plenty of collectibles and side missions should keep you hooked for long after the final credits roll, and I really hope that this brings Remedy the commercial success that it so obviously deserves. Thank you for joining us guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please do like, share and subscribe. Check out the website and follow us on social media as well. Alright, we'll see you next time. Take care, bye bye.